My name is Keegan. This channel is called A Combustible Life, and I'm going to be talking today about how I ended up as a guest on a podcast called I Don't Know About That with Jim Jeffries. So I'll work up to that, but I would appreciate if you could subscribe so you can get notifications of the other videos that are coming up soon. The channel is in promotion of my book, which is wrong way around, called A Combustible Life, My Ongoing Struggles with Manic Depression. And I'm going to talk to you about the time period from writing the book until getting onto the podcast that I was talking about. And then I'll tell you a bit more about what I have been doing in terms of raising awareness, and also tell you what I hope I can achieve from the book, this channel, and a few other avenues that I hope can bring mental health into the spotlight a bit more and help people out there. And also, that I can be helped, and I do feel that making a contribution to helping other people is something that flows both ways. If you I used to be a lecturer, and teaching somebody something and seeing them get a concept that they've been struggling with is very satisfying. So helping people in whatever sphere, I think will be the same. So I'll go back to when I wrote the book, which was somewhere between July 2022, and it came out in October 2022. Now, what kicked off the actual writing of the book was a few things. My dad passed away recently before I started, and I was in a generally good space mental health wise, but that really triggered a switch, and caused me a lot of anger and sort of resentment at the world in general. But I also ended up losing my business, largely due to COVID, but also due to some very stupid decisions on my part. And I do have a history of making stupid decisions, and it's not always something you can blame on poor mental health, but I think it's definitely, or has definitely been, a contributor. So I was diagnosed in 2004, which is now almost 20 years ago, and I was so incredibly embarrassed about this depression issue. And I only told very few people, only told the people really that I had to. And I was so good at hiding it because of my embarrassment. And you may have seen memes out there about depression, and they kind of say, this is what depression looks like, and it'll be someone, smiling and happy, and not this, or, with a sort of sour face. And that is because many people who do suffer from depression have mastered the art of masking, because you don't want people to know. So, often when somebody commits suicide or they have a mental breakdown, the friends and family, or perhaps people that they know, are quite stunned and surprised that this particular person is struggles with mental health. And that's the thing, is to actually speak out. There is help out there. So writing the book was partially to overcome embarrassment, but also to shine the light on mental health. So I did that, and I started a YouTube channel. It's obviously this channel. I started pushing out a lot of content. A lot of it was bad and silly, and I don't think anyone was really taking it seriously. But then I tried to get sort of gig speaking to, I targeted universities and schools. And one of the most disappointing parts about this journey that I've been on in the last year is the number of people that, or institutions that have allowed me to speak to them compared to the ones who said no, or didn't get back to me. Now, I don't want this to be a scenario where anyone feels sorry for me. It's just, I'm kind of telling the story, and it's not as if people at wherever are waiting for Keegan O'Connell to contact them and get him to talk. So I don't want to say it's anybody's fault that I haven't really been able to to get anything tangible going. It's just the way things have happened. So I contacted my old school, and I went and met with a counsellor, not somebody that was there when I, or a teacher that was there when I was a student. And he liked the idea. I gave him a copy of the book, and we set up a specific day, it was Wednesday, that I was going to come and talk. And then I tried to confirm it with him, but he had, and I don't think he's probably very busy, but didn't respond to my emails or return calls. So, and then I tried to confirm, but the actual talk, and then he had COVID. Somebody else at the school, or nobody else at the school knew about it. So I was so disappointed, because I thought, here's a chance to really, kick this off, and it would be nice to do it at my old school, because a lot of the stories in the book come from my school days. So there was quite a big disappointment. Then, shortly after that, through a family member, well, I say family, it's family friends, but basically family, to do a talk at a society called Natal Forum. They have different guest speakers once a month. And, I'm sorry, I just kicked the trumpet. And I did a talk there to about 200 people, which is what I consider a very big audience from the point of view that I've never really done, these talks before. And it was so well received, and I felt so awkward when they clapped at the end. But just because I don't really like the attention, however, doing what I'm doing now, I have to get more comfortable with it, of course. But it was nice to know that what I said was appreciated, and several people, well, in fact, I had 21 books there, they all sold, which was wonderful. And several people came up to me and said, from what you've just said, it's given me kind of clarity on how my brother behaved 10 years ago, or what my daughter's going through, or, make sense of things that have happened to me, or emotions that I've had. So from, what I had said was in something that they could take away and understand, and hopefully talk about it and spread the word some more. Then, after that, nothing kind of cropped up, and I then stopped making videos. And it wasn't a case of, this is my last video and I'm going to now stop. It's almost as if, like, let's say a friendship that drifts apart, you can't pinpoint, an occasion that caused the drift. And I just felt like stopping the videos on YouTube was kind of similar to that. And I got so discouraged, and I've been in quite a bad place since my dad passed away. Wanting to be dead many times, lying in bed, just unable to function. And my aspirations with this book, and wanting to try and help, but feeling like people don't want the help. And that's a terrible attitude on my part, because there's a lot of people that are out there that do want the help. I just get so negative within myself. Anyway, so I stopped making the videos, and I focused on the freelance writing that I am currently doing. I'll tell you a bit more about that at the end, towards the end, when I chat about what I'm looking to achieve from a personal point of view. So then a couple of other talks followed. I did one remotely, one at Varsity College in Pretoria, and one at Monash University, also in Pretoria, not the Canadian one. And they were via Zoom because I'm in Durban. But there's such a disconnect between, across that Zoom call, it's not like you can see your audience, but it's difficult to gauge, if they're enjoying the talk, or, if they're, you know what I mean? It's not the same as talking to people in person. And, there were very few people at both of the talks. And I said, if anyone would like to contact me afterwards, if you want to chat about anything, please do. And I didn't receive anything, which is fine. Again, I'm not saying I don't want you to feel sorry for me or give me sympathy, but it was a bit tough for me to kind of stomach, because I thought there were going to be a lot more people. So here I was stumbling along, just feeling like nothing's really happening for me. And we fast forward a little bit, and I was in an online article in a local online news outlet, I suppose you could say. And it was quite funny because the article, I didn't even know it was going to happen. I'd given all the details, but then I thought it would be like the journalist would write it up, or we would have a meeting first, or I would have to approve it. So I didn't even know, and then I got contacted by another family friend to say, well done on this article, and I was like, okay, cool. That made me feel really good, but not much came of it. Then there was a huge disappointment. I was scheduled to have an interview on the news, ENCA, and it was on a Sunday. It was supposed to be a Sunday evening, and everything was on. I was going to get sent the Zoom link for the virtual interview, and on the Sunday I couldn't get hold of the producers, couldn't get hold of the station, emails, phone calls, nothing's happening. I don't have this link, and then about half an hour before the scheduled time, I got a WhatsApp to say that there's actually not enough time on the show. So, and I told friends and family that I'm going to be on the news and they were all going to watch. So I thought that was terribly disappointing. In any event, a week later, well, not quite a week later, it was on a Thursday, I was on the news channel. But the lady that interviewed me got my name wrong, which is, I didn't correct her. I just kind of, let her go on with it because she introduced me and then she sort of talked for a while before I could say anything. So I didn't want to go back and correct her. But the interview was decent. I was quite nervous in the beginning, but I did feel that, and I've never worked in a news station or anything, but I think after having done the interview, it seems like it's, quite high pressure and things happen and, okay, you've got to do this story, that story, in the middle of the show, things change. It seemed like she didn't know she was going to have the guest and she was just given like a piece of paper with a little bit of stuff about me. So again, I was disappointed because I thought, well, this isn't, this news, it's a national news station, there's going to be interest and I'm going to sell some books, and nothing happened. So, very, very discouraged. But I kind of keeps on plugging away, and I did a talk at Varsity College in Durban North, where I live, and one in Westville, at the different campuses, and they went well. There weren't very many attendees, but we had really nice discussions, and people came up to me afterwards and said, thank you, I identified with this or that, and something that was very nice to hear was one of the students sent me an Instagram message saying that after hearing the talk, he's decided to patch things up with a family member that had, particularly hurt him in the past. And it's nice to hear that, somebody has taken something out of a talk that I've done. Then after that, there was an article in what's called Get It magazine. I've actually got a chat. I'll see if I can get the article out. This was quite a nice one. So it's a local magazine, lifestyle magazine, and just in the area that I live, I don't know what the distribution is. Free magazine, but then some people started contacting me and said, I saw you in this magazine, and the one lady was telling me about a particularly difficult time that she went through when her husband passed away. And, there was a lot else that we talked about, and then I'd say the most kind of successful media thing was an interview on Cape Talk, which is a radio station in Cape Town, and that was on the first day of Mental Health Awareness Month, 1st of October, and I felt that the lady was very prepared. She asked some incredibly relevant questions and we had a good chat, and I think that did make an impact because I started getting people on social media sending messages and a lot of sort of congratulations, I am going through this, that and the other, and know that you're not alone. So what I want to try and start doing is when people do contact me, is to meet them, or get a WhatsApp group going, or just kind of be there for each other through the tough times, and kind of start getting into a situation where I do feel like I really am helping. So that was very good from that point of view, and some books did sell, which was really nice. And yeah, then that wasn't that long ago. It's now the 16th of October. This video will be uploaded on, I think, the 18th, because I want to do it after the release of the podcast that I'm getting to. So shortly after that interview on the 1st, I sent Forrest Shaw, who is the co-host of I Don't Know About That with Jim Jeffries. He's a comedian as well. Sent him a DM on Instagram, and I said, I listened to the podcast, I love it. I am a mental health advocate from South Africa. I'd love to be on the show. And he replied and said, yes, we'd love to have you on the show. When are you available? And, this is, to me, this is like, wow, this is mind-blowing, because Jim Jeffries, I've been listening to I think I discovered him in 2010. And I mean, he always says on the show that he's not famous, but he's kind of known, and I think he's very humble about it. He's got 3 Netflix specials, he's got the podcast, YouTube channel, does TV shows, and so this was awesome when Forrest said that this is going to happen. And I felt like, well, this is kind of like meeting a hero. I don't like to say I've got heroes, but can you imagine sort of a musician that you've loved for many years, and you get an opportunity to meet them? Obviously this one was virtual. So what happened is Forrest and I had a 10-minute Zoom call in preparation, and it was just all very quick. So it was 12th of October that it was recorded, and I'll tell you a bit about how it went, but first I just need to tell you the premise of the show. So it's called I Don't Know About That, and they have experts on in different fields. So my expertise is mental health, and so I've listened to plenty of them. There was one on dog breeding, there's one on cults, on guitar music, there was one with a biography of the Grateful Dead, food history, a whole bunch of different topics. So you'll have the experts. It feels weird saying expert, but Jim doesn't know who the expert is going to be. So, I was basically this kind of setup, and he asks me questions and tries to figure out what my expertise is, and Forrest kind of guides him along. Then after that happens, the Forrest asks Jim a whole bunch of questions, which Forrest and I kind of put together, and he gives his answers all on the subject of mental health. Then I get to give him a score out of 10. Forrest scores him out of 10 as well, and then the Jim Jeffries' assistant Jack Hackett, who's also on the show, also gives an out of 10 score, and then you come to a final score. It's all a bit of fun. So we did that, and after the score, then all the questions come back to me, and I start answering them, and then we just have general discussion about it. And it was pretty incredible. So to me, Jim Jeffries is like super famous, but it didn't feel like I didn't feel that intimidated. But I think it's like he's had depression issues himself, and he's been on and off antidepressants. So I think there was something that we could identify with each other, I suppose, and it really just felt like 3 guys there, and me having a fun chat, laughing, but also getting the mental health message across there. So that was quite wild. In South Africa, I had to do it in the morning from 1 to 2:30. I could hardly sleep afterwards. It was amazing. And so now that podcast would have come out a day or a few hours before this video. So I'm hoping that through the podcast, people have been directed to my Instagram, YouTube channel, and hopefully Instagram, YouTube channel, and buy the book. All these links are to the book and to the YouTube channel with, I don't know about that, I will put them in the link. Okay, so that's very exciting for me. That takes care of that. Then I want to talk about what I actually want personally from the situation. I actually forgot to prepare the book, but I'll grab it. So I want to read out the opening of the book, and it's quite heavy, it's quite deep, but it's true. And so I'll read it out and then to a certain point, and then I'll explain it. So here we go. First chapter is called An Ending Fitting for the Start. If I had known at birth that life would cause me misery, darkness, sadness, and pain that words can't do justice to, I would have opted out. There have been many good times, but in the darkest places, those times always seem unreachable. From a young age, I knew that I would never succeed, and I knew that my life would end in suicide, and it will, but I couldn't do it before my mom dies. Many years after these conclusions, I found myself sitting in her car outside a hardware store in Vredehuk, Cape Town, trying to pluck up the courage to go inside and buy a hosepipe. I had spent months researching suicide methods and wanted to gas myself in the garage, but I was too much of a coward and didn't even get out of the car. So, as I said in that, I remember being a teenager before my depression set in, and specifically, I was embarrassed about the size of my nose at high school. It's still pretty big, but I'm not really embarrassed anymore. So I remember thinking clearly, when I finished school, I'm getting a nose job. If I look shit, I'll kill myself. But it wasn't from a depressed point of view. It was just, I don't know, I just kind of knew. And I've never been able to picture myself as an older person or think what's going to come in the future. And I don't know why that is, but in my life, I've stumbled from failure to failure to failure, and I've never felt fulfilled, or that what I'm doing work-wise or just in general is something that gives me fulfillment. And, I've questioned what is fulfillment. So for me, or rather, what is success when it comes to fulfillment? And I think for me, I'm a little bit scared of becoming successful, which sounds totally weird, but when I give these talks, people ask what I charge, and I don't charge because I feel that I don't want to use it as a commercial opportunity. It's more of a helping thing. But someone then said to me, you've got to know your worth, and if I am doing talks that are helping people, then I'm entitled to charge. I also felt very awkward at the talk saying, buy my book. But then the thing is as well, you or me, when you do something like that and put it out there, you want it to be successful, you want to sell copies. So I need to become better at owning it and promoting the book. And this podcast, I don't know about that, has the potential to reach quite a wide audience and really start the ball rolling. But what my ideal would be is to have this YouTube channel monetized and work up to it being monetized. Have guests on, talk about not only mental health issues, but difficult times in people's lives, or just interesting stories that other people have to tell. So there is going to be a bit of that. I mean, my ideal would be to be able to go to a studio once a week, have three interviews or chats lined up, do them, have the studio do the editing, and then release them onto YouTube. Because if you've got this far in the video, I'm sure you can tell that this is very amateur. So, to have that be part of my day, and then, as I said, to upload them, and then spend more time giving talks, which I would hope to charge for, and trying to sell books, but also to do a form of freelance writing that brings me where I feel like I can make a difference. Because at the moment I feel as if I've made some tiny little differences, but also the content that I do at the moment, I kind of do it because that's the only freelance work I've been able to obtain. I don't absolutely love it, but it does pay the bills. And it can get frustrating because, so what I do is I work for well, not, it's on a contract basis, but it's to write books, about 100 pages of a normal book, for customers of a particular company called the Urban Writers. But I am a ghostwriter, so I can't put my name to it. I sign away the copyright, and the pay is not good, so I've got to churn out a lot of content to, generate even a little bit of money. And what happens is extremely frustrating is I go onto Amazon and check, under the book title, and find it and see how many copies have been sold. And, one in particular has sold thousands of copies, and I'm sitting with my book there that's not even, and hasn't even reached 100 yet. So that's very, very frustrating. But although there is a lot of freelance writing out there, but it's tough. It's tough to get positions. I've applied for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and really it is just, it's just to try and get that exposure. So what I hope to achieve from this video is to direct some traffic to Amazon, people to buy the book, and people to subscribe, so you can help my channel grow, which really would be fantastic. And I think that if I could get to the point where those things that I've just talked about, if that can become my life and working life, then I'll certainly feel a big sense of fulfillment. And I'm hoping that when I get there, I have to get there. I can't give up, but that'll pull me out of the mindset that I know I will die from suicide. As I sit here right now, I still believe that. But I hope that can be changed. So I'm going to give a very brief overview of my diagnosis and how I've managed to hide it, because it's invisible, but it's very real. Mental health. If you have cancer or whatever ailment, you can see it and you get treated. Whereas with mental health, there are often no visible signs. So it started when I was 19, or I was officially diagnosed, and I was terribly ashamed to be having to take these pills to kind of keep myself from killing myself. And in those days, it wasn't as bad as it is now. But after university, I went to America to work at a summer camp, and my life the pain was dulled, but it was there. And I didn't have a lot of friends around me, none of whom knew about it, because I'd put on the happy mask, and then later I would spend time in bed at home when nobody could see me. So yeah, and then the first real period that I had was at the camp, because when I got there, there was just such a vibe, people from all these different countries. We were, had this training for 3 weeks, and it was just amazing. I was on such a high, and I stopped taking my medication because I thought, this is it. I don't need to be embarrassed anymore. I don't have this depression. I didn't really even believe in it then. And, about 2 weeks later, I was ready to die. I'd been fired from the camp. I was staying at a guy's house that I'd met at the camp. He was a counselor. He also got fired. And he had guns. He was like a hunter. And what kept me alive was daydreaming about taking a gun and blasting my head off, which also might sound strange, but there is a big difference between wanting to be dead and taking actual steps to kill yourself. So that was my first experience with really thinking deeply about suicide. And I managed to come out of that place, when I came back to South Africa, back to the doctor, ended up getting on medication and went into a period of remission for quite a long time. And I'm just going to fast forward to my next incident, I suppose, or experience that was particularly traumatic. And I ended up in a psychiatric hospital in Oranje, which is in Cape Town, after just having a complete breakdown. And then I was really fucked. I seriously wanted to take my life. You heard from what I read earlier. And it was a long, long, long road back to recovery. You know, you can't work when you sort of mentally incapacitated. So ended up losing a lot of the material things that I had, but I came out of it and came out of it pretty strong. And then if we fast forward to the next very bad dip, it was when my dad died, and it's carrying on. I have some horrendously dark days where I'm just in bed all day, which also makes it difficult to meet writing deadlines. And the thing is that people don't know. People out there don't know. Friends know, but no one will be able to tell if I'm in public that I'm dying inside and that I'm in this dark place because I hide it so well. And I think I'm going to carry on hiding it, because because I don't want this sort of thing of people feeling sorry for me. So part of me says that not very many people care. Very few people say, "How are you really? How are you?" But also, I don't want to, every time I see someone, be like, "How are you? How are you really?" I want it to be your normal, "Hey, how's it going? Good. Okay, are we going to go for dinner now? Are we going to do this?" Whatever the case is. So I don't want that kind of sympathy or empathy. Although when it's offered, that's fantastic. So it's a bit of a mixed and muddled up condition to have, and I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. But I say that if I can turn the affliction into a useful good, then obviously that'll be a good way to go. So I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Please do buy the book on Amazon. It's there's a lot in it, but there's a good parts of life too, and a lot of strange things have happened to me. I've got myself into some situations that have become regrettable, but it's just the story of me from when I was a kid until 2 years ago when it came out, and maybe I'll be able to have a sequel at some stage. But please do buy it. Give me a rating if you would like to. That would be amazing. And for the videos, please try and assist me in bringing more people to the channel. So if you've reached the end, well done. I don't know what the statistics are on YouTube, but most of the videos people don't reach the end. But now I'm bumbling on a bit, I think. So if you are, thanks very much for watching the video. Please share it, and I suppose treat people nicely. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.